In September 1886, I started my engineer and haulage contractor business in Petersfield, Hampshire, with the purchase of a new Marshalls of Gainsborough traction engine, number 14242, along with one of their threshing drums and an elevator. After 4 years, in 1890, the business was doing well, and I ordered another general-purpose traction engine from Marshalls, works number 17821, and an additional threshing drum. Demands for my services continued to grow, so in 1895 I took delivery of a new Fowler compound agricultural traction engine, number 7453. A year later there was a need in the local area for steam rolling, so I purchased a 10-ton Wallace and Stevens roller, number 2377. Demand grew, and in 1900 I bought a second-hand Wallace and Stevens 10-ton roller. 1 year later, I part-exchanged that roller for a new identical one, number 2570. In 1903, the Army was building a large camp at Longmoor in Hampshire. I secured a contract to cart building materials to the camp. With threshing season approaching, I needed to free up the traction engines, so purchased a new McLaren Road locomotive, number 726, to complete the job. January 1905, I bought another Wallace and Stevens 10-ton roller, a compound engine with overhead valves. Steam-powered road haulage was in more demand by 1907, so I bought a 5-year-old Wallace and Stevens 3-ton steam tractor. My son, James, went to the 1911 Guildford show, where he saw a Burrell 3-speed, double-crank compound road locomotive called the Dreadnought. He persuaded me it would be a great addition to our fleet. We also purchased a Wallace and Stevens oil bath steam tractor, number 7258. I was very impressed with our first oil bath tractor, so I placed an order for an identical engine in 1913. In the dark years that followed, work came from the government to aid in the war effort. I saw a local brewery's 5-ton Foden steam wagon. I could see the potential of such a machine, so placed an order with Wallace and Stevens for their patent 5-ton steam wagon. After the war, there was an increase in petrol-engined lorries, and steamers were slowly being pushed to one side. I was keen to start the change from steam to the internal combustion engine. James, however, felt steam power was here to stay. At the beginning of the 1920s, threshing was still the backbone of our business. The Fowler covered the area north of Petersfield, including Liss and Hawkley, and up to Hindhead. The 1886 Marshal worked the local Petersfield farms, and the second Marshal worked East and West Meon farms. In the late 1920s, James made the decision to stop contract threshing as it no longer paid. He sold a threshing drum to a farmer in Harting, and sold the Wallace wagon and the second Marshal. 1926 saw the arrival of the last engine we would buy, Fowler Showman's Sir John Fowler. James loaned the engine to local showman Nelson Noyce. By 1933, the only engines left were the 1886 Marshal, the engine I started my business with 47 years earlier, and the 1895 Fowler. It was time to retire these two faithful engines, so they were put in the workshop under cover. When Jim Noyce, the son of Nelson, bought his set of gallopers, my son James replaced the steam centre engine, a Savage number 722 Little Jim, with an electric motor, and kept the engine in the workshop. Jim Noyce stopped using Sir John Fowler in 1943. It was towed home to our workshop, where Noyce's engine, the Victory, joined it. The 5 engines stayed together for a decade, until the Victory was the first to leave, when the late Bill Druce bought her from Jim Noyce in 1954. The other 4 remained, being polished, oiled and greased with affection by my son, James. People came from around the world to see them, and no one was allowed to leave without signing the visitor book. One American family was so impressed with the collection, they returned to the USA to get some friends and brought them back to see the engines. In 1969, everything was sold. The workshops and the house I had built all those years ago were demolished to make way for the entrance to a car park. The Marshall was the first to be sold, then the Fowler, followed by Sir John Fowler, and finally the Savage Centre engine. Petersfield's Victorian Museum and 84 years of history had gone. But that's not the end of the story. The Savage Centre engine is now preserved at the Hollycombe collection. Sir John Fowler has been restored and resides in Scotland, and I'm proud to say steam is still in the blood of my family. My great-great-grandson and his family now have my precious 1886 Marshall, now known as Victoria, Empress of India, and the Fowler, now known as Albert. The whole family are involved with the preservation of these two wonderful engines. They've come full circle. I can rest in peace in the knowledge that my legacy will not be forgotten.